I get the business. You can't be a head coach and be going through that. That's reality. But this is real. This is serious, and it's the best thing for the program, and it's the best thing for him to be where he is.
What was on display that was working for him tonight?
Well, he just did such a nice job at the line of scrimmage. I mean, at times he would go with a long count just to see what the defense was going to bring, what pressure, and then change the play. I mean, to me, on critical downs and distance, he handled everything. It doesn't matter that it's in front of 100,000 fans in Austin, Texas, because they have the most pure passer in the entire nation in Jared Goff. This young man is oozing with dude qualities. Just watch his base at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, especially when you look at Paul Perkins. I mean, he's just explosive through the hole. I mean, this young man, he jumps off the screen and you watch him on tape. You don't realize how fast he is. And he does it after contact, over 520 yards after contact on the season.
Well, it started at the Rose Parade. You know, the theme this year is Find Your Adventure, and over 55,000 Iowa fans found their adventure. 1,500 miles from Iowa City. So many have made the trip here. All right, I want to play corner right now. You see a lot of press coverage sometimes in the Pac-12. A lot of cover 4 bump. When you see that, what's some of the first thoughts that go through your mind, and how do you attack press coverage? I'd be concerned if you're a Pac-12 team, if you're Utah, if you're Stanford, if you're somebody trying to knock on the door, because here's the reality. Clemson, they went out, they're going to go. Ohio State wins out, they're going to go. Someone from the Big 12 wins out, they're going to go. So now we're comparing, like always, the SEC versus the Pac-12.
Give me some perspective, though, on just how special this performance was.
Look, guys, you know, when I was on the staff at USC, Reggie Bush was there. He also wore number 5. And tonight had that feeling. Every time number 5 for Stanford got the rock, the place stood up. You've been giving a lot of speeches this week. If you could give a mini speech to the crew back at the Boys and Girls Club, what would you tell them?
Just to dream big.
Cody Kessler was a defenseless player. You cannot have head-to-head, helmet-to-helmet contact with a defensive player. That is the letter of the law. That is targeting by rule. It was called, like it or not, it doesn't really matter.
When it's over, it's one of the hardest things to deal with. As a college athlete, there's way more college athletes than NFL athletes who are told the game's over for them. What do you hope that collegiate athletes who don't get to go play at the next level, what do you hope that they take from this game, and how do you think they can apply it to life after the game?
That's a good question.
How have you been so humble in a profession that can sometimes not be? There's a lot of egos in college football, a lot of money in college football. You've been the guy in so many unique places.
I'm not that great of a guy. I think I'm an overrated great guy.
It seems as though all across football, from the NFL, with clearly Chip going there, all the way to Pop Warner, people are trying to run Oregon's offense. How does that feel when you hear that? And then how do you remain a half a step ahead of everybody?
That's one of the challenges.
Why do you think you are interested in so many things outside of football that just consumes majority of coaches?
You know, I've always been a very curious guy.
Nowadays, it seems like in recruiting, it's all about where can I go to play? Where can I go to get to the next level? Not necessarily where I can become a real man. So when a recruit hears that, or a player on your roster, that must be kind of refreshing for them to dive into and explore a space maybe they haven't even heard of before.
Yeah.
Being around the NFL for so long and coming to college, you always seem like you light up when you talk about the influence that you have on these kids. Is it still that way every single day for you, and what about it?
Every day.
Coach, when you talk to your players, it seems like they have this belief in themselves, this quiet look in their eye that says, you know, look out, we're coming. And when I asked them about it, they all said, yeah, you know, we do. We have such a strong belief in us, and it's got to come from you. So how have you cultivated that among all the noise around your team of maybe we're not good enough, etc.?
Well, look, if you told Kyle Whittingham that Josh Rosen was going to be 50% and you were going to hold Paul Perkins under 100 yards, he'd take it all day long. But the bottom line, again, in championship settings, it comes down to critical downs and distances. They had 5 drives out of 10 where they went 3 and out. You can't do that in settings like this.
Well, specifically defense. That is how this team has been built under Todd Graham. Tackling the football, bringing pressure from a variety of different areas. They pressured Josh Rosen over 65% of the times when he dropped back, forced UCLA into 8 3-and-outs. They had 8 the entire season heading into that ball game. This defense is finally healthy.
Well, it's the phrase game manager, right? And if you study the game as you do, your job as a quarterback is to manage your offense and have mastery within it. That's exactly what Kevin Hogan does. And we love the phrase around here, right, Mike? The way you do small things.
The way you do all things.
That's right. And this is what he does. does. So when you turn the film on, his numbers aren't going to wow you, but on third down, he absolutely dominates. When he needs to put the ball in a spot, he can do that. Here's a great example to Austin Hooper. It's a spot throw away from the defender on a third down conversion, whoop, right to his outside number.
They're down 7 with 10.5 minutes left in the ball game, and then things broke down.
Well, they break your heart every time, but they are building and building, and a large reason why has been the development of their defensive players, but they have been injured the last couple weeks, and they took some poor angles against Oregon. And you look at some of their players, Rick Gamboa playing the linebacker because Addison Gillum is out. Kenneth Olabode is out for 4 to 6 weeks. That's where they have struggled, being in space. And going up against Arizona State, they run a very similar offense to Oregon. They want to expose you in space, utilize their athletes. Dynamic. I can remember seeing him in training camp, and he just jumped out at you. When you talk to the staff, they said he stands out in every way. Obviously his play, but just the way he carries himself. He carries himself like a veteran, someone who wants the ball, and he's a dominant competitor. Keep in mind, last week's loss at USC was the first time he lost since he was in high school. I mean, this is a winner. This is a young man who's got a great pedigree. This is his first year ever playing wide receiver, was a dominant quarterback in high school, and he's a guy who just tilts the field, meaning every time he touches it, literally he can score.
And if you're Oregon State specifically, what I love what they do, when you're a visit, you go on your visit, you go to the hotel, and there's 42 pieces of a poster that are laying on the bed, and they can't put it together for you because it's an NCAA violation. So you get to the hotel and you start to assemble it. You just see what you put together, and you get to find out if you really want to commit to this school. So you, being one of our highest recruits, Gary Anderson, he told us that you were a war daddy, and he wants a war daddy on his program.
But I couldn't talk to him because I already committed to Chris Peterson.
Right, but you know what? They don't stop competing. And we talked to that staff, and Derek Ray, Ken Bagley, Zach Bigelow, Vince Ginta, they all decide, you know what? We're going to get Mike Yam to turn. We want this guy to come. The arrival of Mike Yam is real.